Welcome to Talking Giants. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, presented by John Boy Media. Justin, we got another player profile preview today. We're going to start on offense with third-year NFL guy. Hasn't missed a snap in 2 years. Second-round pick of Dave Gettleman. Will Hernandez. Justin, Will Hernandez, 6'2", 327 pounds. A hog molly, 25 years old. He was picked with the 34th overall pick in the second round of the 2018 NFL Draft, Justin. And he has been a mainstay ever since.
Yeah, the YouTube crowd gets to see that I'm wearing my Hog Molly shirt. Go subscribe to the YouTube if you're on the podcast app and you want to see our beautiful faces. Yes, but Will Hernandez, third year. I think third year should be a pretty big jump year for Will Hernandez. We were expecting that second year in 2019 to be that big jump year for Will Hernandez, but when you're playing next to John Jalapio and a struggling Nate Solder, it could very much be a part of why a player doesn't take that big jump. But nevertheless, you love what you see out of Will Hernandez in a lot of different situations, but he also has to work on some things. So, Bobby, there's not really a lot of facts for offensive linemen. Oh, no, well, fun fact. Let's talk about the fun fact for Will Hernandez. Our guy, Ruben Vargas, interviewed him this past offseason. Zonas Gigantes. And Will Hernandez did the entire interview in Spanish, so he's fluent in Spanish. I think I beat to a dead horse the fact that what is it called? The Animal Protection Agency. They wouldn't like that I said beat to a dead horse. That's a bad thing that I said that. But I think I
beat off a dead horse.
There you go. Ooh, don't say beat off a dead horse. That's bad. But neither here nor there. I kind of said it over and over again this offseason about Will Hernandez and the Strength Cartel. He goes to that gym in California, and it's on Most Hated Boulevard. He goes there with John Jalapio. Him and John Jalapio are the Strength Cartel brothers. But I wanted to say and give another shout-out to Ruben. Did that interview, interacts with the fans. Will Hernandez, super nice guy. Root free in 2020. But, Bobby, let's kind of talk about his game.
He also found out that Nick Gates was one training there with Hernandez and training at center, so
that's right.
Good on Ruben.
That's right.
All right, so with Hernandez, obviously, like I said before, started all 32 games of his career so far. We were expecting a huge jump for him in year two, and we didn't really see it, Justin. He had some struggles, and a lot of it was on, one, him and Nate Solder were so bad at picking up stunts. I mean, it was terrible, and I actually put more of that blame on Solder because there'd be times where Hernandez would pass off the stunt, and Solder just wouldn't be ready for it. So I don't know if it was trust or what, but they were really bad at that. And then Hernandez just initially kind of got beat by some guys with some quick hands, where he was trying to maul guys and knock guys out. He had guys who would beat him with quick hands. That being said, I don't really look at Hernandez's 2019 as oh, this guy was a liability. It's just that he didn't jump into what we thought he was going to be in year two.
Yeah, some things that you absolutely love about Will Hernandez is the play strength. I almost wish that he was a center, Bobby, because that's the kind of anchor and that's the kind of strength that we need coming from the interior part of our line. So you got to love the play strength. You got to love how he finds work. I actually kind of want to give you a second to talk about that too, because one of the funnest parts of watching this offensive line is Will Hernandez, where maybe for a second, if he doesn't have work directly in front of him, if he doesn't have a defensive tackle or a blitzing linebacker directly coming at him, and he has to find work, oh boy, grab onto your straps here, grab onto your seatbelts, because he's going to go and he's going to try to lay someone out, either that the center's taking care of, or either that the left tackle and he's taking care of an edge rusher. He's going to try and lay someone out in pass protection. So him finding work, and then it leads to some funny GIFs. It leads to some funny clips that you can be like, ooh, good hit, Will.
I do love those. I really do. But Justin, I was watching the Patriots offensive line and some things they were doing. I can't even remember why, but this was a few months ago. And there's something they do that, as fun as those gifts are, I think Will Hernandez needs to stop doing that now, at least early in the play, because he like any other normal person, loves to lay people out. But what's happening is he is staying near the line of scrimmage when he doesn't have work, and what's happening is he's looking for a guy to lay out. But one guy might be getting beat, and he's not deep enough. So something the Patriots do is, if you don't have work, they tell you on the interior offensive line, center and guard, get depth. get back. That way when someone gets beat, then you are the second line of defense. And him and Jalapeno didn't do that at all, where there'd be, Solder would be getting beat, and Hernandez is helping Jalapeno with a double team that doesn't really need it. He's just he's hitting one hand on it. So that's something I want to see them do. Hopefully that's something Colombo will instill in them, and that helps against stunts. You're more ready when you have more depth. I'm not saying you back up into your QB, but just be ready for work instead of trying to go and get these layout plays.
I sometimes see guards, and I don't know if this is on the Patriots specifically, but as you were saying, going and getting depth, I sometimes see guards, you'll see left guards, if they get that depth, if they see that something's happening on the right side and on the other side of the line and the right tackle's losing their battles, some of those guards will sometimes go over, they'll kind of pull across the line of scrimmage, and they'll help out on that right side. So I feel like
Nelson does that really well. Quentin Nelson does that really well.
Yeah, that's probably who I saw do it pretty well.
So just more in-play awareness. Okay, always be looking for, waiting for guys to make mistakes. Do that instead of, listen, I love getting those layout hits. They're the funnest thing in football. But you kind of, when you're looking for the highlights instead of actual, good play, you can get yourself in trouble. And the Giants got themselves in trouble. Luckily with Hernandez, though, and I put out a clip and somebody made a good point on this, is that even when he would get beat initially, he had really good recoverability. He's someone, if you beat him initially, he would get back and do a good job recovering and sometimes even lay dudes out with it. And he has a QB in Jones where my man pressure doesn't affect him. So if you're not totally grabbing onto Jones, it doesn't really matter. So his recoverability is something that is really good. And with Andrew Thomas next to him, that's one of his biggest qualities is recoverability. Hopefully they can get some kind of groove there, and we have our left tackle, left guard for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the play strength point, is that maybe if you're beat initially, and I think one of Will Hernandez's weaknesses heading into one of the weak spots of his game in 2018, his rookie year, was the fact that he had trouble adjusting to the speed of the game. He went to that small school, so you saw a lot of these quicker interior defensive linemen, especially when they're putting these rips and these swim moves, and it's quick little moves. Will Hernandez had a hard time, at least at the beginning of the season, adjusting to that. I think he did better, Bobby, because we just talked about his recoverability, and it goes to his main strength, that is his play strength. But I still feel maybe not so much the speed of the game still gets him, and the speed of the game is going to get to everybody once in a while. But like you said, those mental errors and getting, down the awareness of the game, those mental errors of communication with your left tackle center, and I'm not able to measure just how much that is. He was impacted by center and left tackle, because even last year, Bobby, there were some plays that there's just head scratchers. What do you do when Will Hernandez? So yeah, that's kind of like where I am. We need better center left tackle play to help Will Hernandez out. The play strength is there. And let's shore up those mental errors.
Yeah, definitely. So, but going forward, I'm excited. We have Will Hernandez and Andrew Thomas. Those guys should be together for their entire careers. And, we'll see what happens with Nick Gates. You could have, and maybe Parrott. There could be 4 guys on this roster. Hell, you even add Lemieux. We could have that offensive line that we so much craved, that we had from those Super Bowl runs, where it's they played the most consecutive games together. I'm not predicting these guys never have any injury, but we could have that 5 where it's this is our offensive line and this is our offensive line for the long term. We could have those 5 guys, and I'm 100% confident that we have those 2 guys with Thomas and Hernandez on the left side.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll with them. I know just some numbers that I included in Kevin Zeitler's episode as well. I included his holding calls. Kevin Zeitler only had 1. Will Hernandez did have 4. The Giants in 2019 ran up the middle 63% of the time, up the middle / guard. And I know fans love to complain about how much Pat Shermer ran up the middle. That was the 7th most in the National Football League. But Jason Garrett and his offense, he's going to bring that down a little bit. Dallas in 2019 ran up the middle about 50% of the time, middle and guard, and kind of equally spread out from there on out, running towards the right tackle, right end, left tackle, left end, etc., etc. So there's going to be less pressure, at least in the run game, that's put on Will Hernandez. He spurted some big runs in Dallas, that 56, 59-yard run that Saquon had in Dallas. That was Will Hernandez's hole. And he also had some other good runs. So yeah, Bobby, exciting things. Big things for Will Hernandez. Big things for Andrew Thomas. Big things for this offensive line. Hopefully we can get that continuity like we had when we won those Super Bowls.
Yeah. And Hernandez, he's a mauler. He's a mean dude. He's out there work. He's a defender of the QB. I love Hernandez. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he grows in this year with Mark Colombo. All right, let's take a break.